All right, today we're going to talk about something a little different, a really outside-the-box idea for passive income that might, well, be music to your ears. We're talking about a way you could earn money from the songs you already love. Yeah, turning your personal playlist into a potential paycheck.
I mean, really, let that sink in for a second. Think about that one song, you know the one, that classic anthem you can't help but sing along to. What if every single time it got streamed or played on the radio or even used in a TV show, a little piece of that profit landed right in your bank account?
You know, for the longest time, this whole world was totally off limits. It was exclusive to the big record labels, the artists, the superstars. But that is all changing. Thanks to some new platforms and this concept called fractional ownership, people just like you and me are now able to buy a piece of the action.
Okay, so how in the world does this actually work? What are we really talking about when we say investing in music? Let's get into it and break down the basics.
So at its heart, a music royalty is just a payment that goes to the owner of a song whenever it's used. The easiest way to wrap your head around this is to think of it like a rental property. When you own the rights, you get paid rent every time someone uses your song. Simple as that.
But that's the million-dollar question, right? What are you actually buying? It's not just some vague idea of a song. You're buying specific legal rights that actually generate that income. And those rights usually fall into two main buckets. And this is where it gets really interesting. On one hand, you've got publishing rights. This is about the song itself, the lyrics, the melody. Think of it as the song's DNA. Then you have master rights. These are tied to one specific recording of that song. So, for example, Whitney Houston's iconic recording of I Will Always Love You has totally different master rights than Dolly Parton's original version, even though they're the same song at their core.
And I love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head. This isn't just about buying numbers on a balance sheet. You're investing in a piece of art, a piece of our shared culture that, pretty coolly, has the potential to pay you back for years, maybe even decades to come.
Now, here's one of the biggest reasons people are getting into this: stability. See, the stock market can go on a wild roller coaster ride based on the day's news, right? But the income from a classic song, it tends to be way more predictable. A beloved hit from the 90s is probably going to get a similar number of plays this year as it did last year, which makes that income stream a lot less volatile. It's an asset that doesn't really care what Wall Street is doing. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you, an everyday person, actually get in on this? Well, it's become way more accessible than you'd think, and that's the real game changer. The key to all of this has been the rise of what's called fractional ownership. You don't have to be some millionaire buying up an artist's entire catalog anymore. Instead, there are these online platforms that let you buy tiny little shares or fractions of a song's royalties. You could own like 0.1% or even a smaller slice of a hit song.
And believe it or not, getting started is actually pretty simple. First, you'd find and research some of these royalty platforms. Then you just browse what songs they have available. Now, the really crucial part is step 3, analyzing a song's history and its future potential. You're not just looking for what's hot today. You're looking for signs of a long life. Is it a holiday song that comes back every year? Does it have that timeless feel that might get it placed in a movie 10 years from now? That's where you find the real value.
All right, hold on. Before you run off and pour your life savings into the latest TikTok hit, we have to talk about the risks. Because this is no guaranteed golden ticket, and it's super important to understand the other side of this coin.
And here, you can really see the two sides of it laid out. The appeal is clear: predictable income, less volatile than stocks, not tied to the market. But the risk is all about one thing: popularity. If people stop listening to the song, your income dries up. That one-hit wonder might be a cash cow right now, but you gotta ask yourself, is anyone really gonna be streaming it 5 or 10 years from now? That is the gamble.
So this is the bottom line, the most important thing to remember. Just like with any investment, a song's past performance is absolutely no guarantee of what it'll earn in the future. All that historical data is a great guide for sure, but it's not a crystal ball. Tastes change, culture shifts, and a song can just fade away. Okay, so let's do a quick recap of everything we've talked about. First, music royalties are a totally new and fascinating way to think about passive income. Second, you can now buy tiny, fractional shares of either a song's composition or a specific recording. Third, this kind of asset is often way less volatile than stocks. And finally, while it's more accessible than ever, you've always got to remember that the #1 risk is that a song just stops being popular.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. As the whole world of investing keeps changing and evolving, could owning a piece of your favorite song actually become a serious part of your financial future? It's definitely something to think about.